Hey guys, this is Marcus and Leo from Big Time Super Friends, and we just finished seeing Wonder Woman. If you don't think Wonder Woman is good, you can suck his webs and suck my... Oh shit. Guys, I cannot believe... well, first of all, this movie had so much... not hype, but so much pressure to be...
I think it had a lot of hype.
Good. And hype, right?
There was a lot of hype, but yeah, a lot of pressure for sure.
It was one of those movies that a lot of people, I disagreed with them, but a lot of people thought this has to succeed. This has to be good in order to kind of blast off the DC universe again, or at least get it back on track.
Yeah, definitely course correction.
Now, first impressions on this? And by the way, guys, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review, so if you haven't seen it, add this to your favorites. Come back to it whenever you can. There's going to be a lot what we're going to talk about. First impressions.
I didn't really have any expectations other than I thought I was going to like it.
Okay.
I'd heard some good stuff about it, but I didn't want to listen to any reviews, watch anything, read anything. I just wanted to go in with a blank slate and give Warner Brothers a chance.
The only thing I knew about this movie that it had a very good rating on Rotten Tomatoes on the first opening days, and that's pretty much it. I've stayed away from every single review note.
I didn't want to watch anything. But you know what? I think overall, I was very impressed.
It's a good fucking movie, dude.
It really is.
Oh my god.
It really is.
From beginning to end, let me just tell you, for the people that really typically don't like DC movies, what are their typical complaints? It's not colorful enough. It's too serious.
That it's not...
the story isn't
I guess
great.
It is just the story, right? Because the story, like, for example, what happened with Suicide Squad? What people didn't like is the story, right? I had a little issue with the boss.
And the way it was edited and cut together.
So,
blah, blah, blah.
But overall, I've liked what DC's done personally.
Me too. I mean, I know I'm in the minority here. When it's like, I like Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Suicide Squad was okay. I have it on 4K.
I watch it.
But the thing is Wonder Woman, I gotta say, is better than those fucking movies.
Oh, dude. It's the best one.
It's the best one.
It's better than Man of Steel, for sure.
Oh, man, that's a tough one, because I thought Man of Steel was an A for me, but you know what? I wouldn't even get mad if you say that Wonder Woman is better than Man of Steel.
I'm going to watch it several more times, because it's just that good, but I think it might be better than Man of Steel, personally.
Okay, because it might be.
Man of Steel is definitely at the top of right now this universe that they've created so far.
Let me just go out and say I was hooked with this movie from beginning.
Oh yeah, me too.
Okay, from the little girl playing Diana as a little girl, right. Practicing her martial arts moves and
secretly training,
inspiring to be a warrior. It's like she had a calling, and no matter what, she was gonna be this ultimate warrior.
Yeah,
not wrestler, but
she was gonna be the ultimate champion warrior.
Yeah, and the thing is there was a lot of scenes here. The opening scene where Chris Pine lands in the ocean and essentially he's being chased by Germans.
Yeah.
That opening beach scene, dude, it kind of reminded me of... It got me so pumped as I'm watching this battle on the beach. It reminded me of the first time I watched 300.
Yeah.
And it was just like, the Spartans going ultimate slow motion.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it is Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Come on. It's he's the master of that slow motion... From regular pace to like that slow-mo pace of an action sequence.
Although he didn't direct this movie, it did have a little spice of Zack Snyder in here. He did do the story for this movie, but the thing is while that battle was happening, dude, I was grasping at my chair. I was like pumped. I mean the choreography here, I would say, is the best choreography I've seen in a DC movie.
You know what? I actually really enjoyed the scenes where the women were fighting and training.
Oh, yeah.
I love that whole sequence because it introduced you to the world that she wants to be a part of, and at the same time, it showed off a lot of their skills, and it was very impressive.
Those girls were fucking incredible.
Badass. They were badass.
Incredible. The way they live, not their mannerisms, but the way they kind of... not view themselves, but the way they carry themselves.
Oh, sure.
Very, very strong individuals, right? They don't take shit, right?
At all. From each other, even.
Yeah, it's like this is like a perfect a portrayal of a warrior race.
Yeah.
That's kind of not going extinct, but it's it's
like
a very
the Spartans.
limited number. Yeah, it's like
Spartans, where they're just training all the time.
Yeah, and so there was this. Right as the movie started, I'm like, okay, this is doing so good. I during the movie, I'm thinking they're gonna do something to fuck this up.
I was afraid of that. I was afraid of that.
The entire movie I'm watching, I'm like, I'm waiting for the fuck up. I'm just something to happen just out of the blue that just takes me out of the movie, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's what they're gonna bitch about this time around. But that never came from beginning to end. It never came.
I would only disagree slightly with the fact that I feel like the first two acts of the movie, they seem to be very fluid, but then I found it a little rough when the reveal of Ares came about. That section for me felt a little weird, and ultimately the final fight aspects of it felt a little like. Okay,
it was very heavy CG in the last...
Which, actually, I didn't mind, because I'm used to it already by Batman v Superman, right?
Yeah.
So, I know what to expect with that, but at the same time, it just... I don't know, parts of it just sort of felt a little off, like the way the reveal happened. So, but other than that, it could have been... The reveal could have been a little bit better, but you do know that it is Ares from the beginning. Right,
you know that Ares is the main guy.
Who is Ares?
Okay?
That's
who is Ares?
Out, yeah.
And, speaking of Ares, what do you think of the actor playing Ares?
I was okay with it.
I thought... Okay, let me...
I was expecting, like, The Rock or something, like some tough...
Listen...
I thought...
The Rock?
No, I thought...
I smell what you're cooking.
I don't mean literally The Rock, but I meant, like... I didn't expect for the actor playing the cover for Ares to actually be physically Ares.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I expected him at some point to morph into this giant hulking mass of a man.
Oh, I see. Dude, if they did that, I would have been... that would have been the thing that's like, okay, they fucked this up right here.
But that's why I'm kind of glad they didn't do that. It was just him, and then he acquired the armor he needed as he needed.
Yeah, and I love speaking of Ares still, the mythology, or the story that they tell regarding Ares was great.
Which is cool because they actually use CG for that part.
Yeah,
and it's almost like the sequence where they're telling you about the Kryptonian race, right? With the background, the wall morphing into it, the story.
It's like pictures are moving and being animated. It's but it's really, done
like
really cool.
in like Leonardo's Sistine Chapel type of art.
Yeah, and the story itself it's not bad. I mean, it's not like the greatest thing ever, but for a Wonder Woman movie, this was a home run. In my opinion, it was a
grand slam, I think, personally.
And the thing is the other complaint that people tend to have when it comes to DC movies is there's no humor. I mean, or the humor doesn't hit. Mm-hmm. And this one, dude, there was a lot of funny moments in here.
And I actually found it... I think part of the comedy was the fact that there's an introduction to the other sex, the opposite sex. A lot of that was played on, and I found it very funny, and I enjoyed it. There was also a lot of, like, sexual element to this movie, but it wasn't overt. It wasn't too much, so kids won't get it, but, for the most part, you understand what's going on.
And the funny thing is now, when I first think about Wonder Woman, my only reference is when she appeared in Batman vs. Superman, right?
Right.
In that movie, she's kind of like not weathered, but she's been battle tested,
right.
And she's kind of, she's not a fool to the world.
She's definitely very stoic in that movie.
Yeah, but when it comes to this, they did such a good job of making it seem like she's really naive.
Definitely naive.
I mean, she's
definitely thought
like
that.
She's like, she's looking at garments and corsets, and she's like,
she's like, what kind of armor is this?
What kind of armor is this? And she's walking around with a dress and a sword and a shield, and it's like,
she's ready to fight.
Plenty of funny moments like this,
but it's her innocence that actually, definitely propels the comedy. A lot and towards the second act,
and it's kind of the Chris Pine and Gal Gadot. They played well off of each other.
They had really good chemistry.
It's one of those things where it's like, if you meet a woman for the first time or a man for the first time, there are things that you're just not going to know.
Of course.
Right? And my favorite gag in the whole thing is Chris Pine's in the
Little
pool
springs.
in the little springs, and she's like, "Is that normal?" And at first I didn't know what the fuck she was saying.
Right.
Okay?
I didn't catch on until he actually said it himself.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm above average, and clearly he's talking about his dick.
Yeah.
But I don't think she was talking about that. It's just Chris Pine. Chris Pine interpreted that, or his character interpreted it that way,
because she's never seen definitely a penis, right?
Yeah, and I just thought, okay, they're definitely going to take inspiration. For me, I already knew, or not knew, but I suspected that they were going to take inspiration from Wonder Woman Year One, the novel, and the Wonder Woman the animated movie, which. She does fight Ares in that movie as well. But going back to the character Diana, I thought there was so many... the way she transforms, essentially, from the naive Diana character to Wonder Woman, right? I thought they handled it very, very well. Because at first, she pops into the scene, she's thrown into a world she doesn't really know. She's very naive, and through her experiences, through her experiences, she grows to be the kind of warrior she is now.
I mean, she gets tested.
Yeah,
she gets tested even in her training. Yeah.
Emotionally, physically, and it's just her knowledge of just how people are, their flaws, and all this. It elevated the movie, dude. For me,
it was definitely another tier that it definitely made this movie transcend just the actual character and into just definitely connecting with humans and our experience, basically.
Now, I had a feeling that Chris Pine. Chris Pine. I had a feeling he was going to die.
I did too.
Right? But the concern that I had going in is it going to be a good death? Is it going to be an emotional death? Mm-hmm. Is it going to pull at my heartstrings a little bit? And to my surprise, dude, it fucking did. A little bit.
Okay, I mean, I'll be honest. That scene felt a little weird because she was being attacked by Ares at that moment. And so it's sort of like... It just feels like time stood still for a second and she took time to mourn.
Yeah.
In the middle of her physical pain, she took time to mourn the loss of someone who she, I guess, at that moment realized she felt something for. Maybe not necessarily love, but felt something for.
I think she loved him, dude, because keep in mind, she's fucking naive to the world.
I would agree, but she definitely had these moments where she was looking at him differently, you know? Like, it wasn't just like, oh, this fool's doing this. It was more like, she saw the meaning behind how and why he did certain things in the movie.
Yeah.
So I can see her falling in love with him for that.
Yeah, and I love the little moments that they had together, you know, when I keep wanting to call him Chris Pratt because I keep thinking of Guardians of the Galaxy. Chris Pine. They showed a lot of like cool little intimate moments, like him teaching her how to dance.
Yeah, and
the chemistry, dude, was there.
But see, here's the thing: I really enjoyed that character because he wasn't sleazy, even though definitely he alludes to the fact that he probably has been, you know, because it's part of who he has to be as a spy.
Sure.
So I like that because it's like, this is the real me. This is what I would really do if I wanted someone like this. And
you know what's, it's kind of, I really appreciated that they even threw this kind of love interest in the movie because, you know, before I saw this movie, I just thought, is that going to detract away from this movie? Are they going to F this up with the love story that's just not going to be believable? And I'm really, really glad that they added that element into it. The world, by the way, that Diana came from.
The mascara?
Yeah, I mean, it looked
crazy.
And it looked very beautiful.
Yeah.
Kind of like paradise brought to life.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, it was very believable, the location, like the way it looked, the scenery.
But by the way, when it comes to there was this one. Some people are saying that it's as good. This movie is as good as the first Captain America. Ooh. I'm actually going to disagree, and I'm going to say it's better.
I think it's better too.
First Captain America.
But I do like Captain America to that degree, where it's like it's definitely you get the sense of why Steve Rogers is who he is, and why he is Captain America essentially, and why that character exists as he is. Wonder Woman the same way, because I thought what was cool was the sword was broken instantly when when she tried to kill him, because she thought that was the weapon to kill, but it's actually her.
I did too.
So
to be honest,
I really did. So I was like, oh shit, how is she gonna beat him then? And you're like, fuck, how are you gonna kill him? But it's like, no, like she just basically reflected back his hate, everything, the power that he was using to kill her. He just gave it back to him and it killed him. Right?
Yeah.
So the fact that like she eventually stopped trying to use conventional weapons and she used the lasso, and she was amazing with the lasso, man.
Incredible.
And her physical feats, as her moves were just so badass. Her sliding and like the flipping. Oh my god, it was amazing.
The fight choreography was incredible.
Oh my god, it was amazing.
The sword play, the bow and arrow.
Oh
play,
yeah,
the shield
when they're swinging down in the beginning,
dude,
and
the martial arts about it.
Yeah,
the kicks. Dude, I cannot speak highly about the choreography.
It's amazing. You know, the part I like was the scene where she busts into the room with all the soldiers, and she's just deflecting and then taking them out.
Dude.
That I love that scene, because that's where she's doing a lot of her flips,
shit.
and she's using the lasso to pull them from their legs, put the legs out.
Here's the thing I did appreciate about this movie is they didn't hold back as far as showcasing Wonder Woman's powers.
Right.
Okay.
And they actually showed her like Gal Gadot's face, which was cool, because I thought they were going to cut away, and obviously some of it would have been CG, but for the most part, it looked like it was Gal Gadot. It was definitely believable.
I mean, when she's smashing into buildings with her shield, destroying buildings. Yeah. Okay, it's like almost like Superman punched it. Or, you know, it's kind of like
it's exactly to that extent. Especially like the scene where he's fighting. In the downtown. She's the downtown. Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. But the downtown fight scene where the fighter pilots come in and they're fighting the Kryptonians, right?
Oh, okay. I thought you were still talking about Wonder Woman.
No. Well, I'm saying like the fight scenes, like the impact of it is very similar to that, if not better.
Yes. No, I would say better, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just it's the best DC movie I've seen.
It's the best one. They definitely did really good with this.
Now, let me tell you, if they keep this, if Justice League is as good as this fucking movie,
remember this is done after Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it's like guaranteed they're back on track. If Justice League is as good as this movie, and then Aquaman is going to be as badass as I think it's going to be.
I have a lot of hope for Aquaman personally.
With James Wan, okay, great talented director. Dude, we can see a fucking rise here.
Well, I mean, think about it. It's been 10 years since Marvel's been doing its thing, okay? It's finally drawing to a close. It should take the next 10 years from this point on for DC to essentially do its thing. Because that's what Marvel's been taking. It's 10 years to do what they started with Iron Man.
Keep in mind, guys, that I sometimes criticize DC movies, okay? But you got to keep in mind, do you guys know what the first Marvel movie, like the first official Marvel movie under their banner was? It was fucking Elektra, okay? So put that into perspective. That movie was worse than any DC movie ever made.
I personally didn't see it.
Okay? It was that bad. Okay, now look at them now. They're pretty much running the movie game. As far as superhero movies are concerned, I hate to admit it, I'm more of a DC guy myself, but Marvel is doing it right. But with this Wonder Woman, I gotta say, it beats a lot of the Marvel movies I've seen. Okay?
Oh, I think it's definitely up there, man.
Like, if I had to compare it as far as, like, my favorite Marvel movie of all time would have to be The Avengers #1, okay, because it's the first time I've ever seen anything like that, and I remember I was all smiles from beginning to end, and the second one would probably be like Guardians of the Galaxy #2, or Iron Man 1, or something like that. This one beats... Oh, God. I can't believe I'm going to say this, dude.
It beats Avengers?
I would have to say it beats even Guardians of the Galaxy, okay? For me, it beats Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think it's just such a believable story.
It is.
There's almost no, even though it's obviously DC delves into magic. I would say in magic, right? It's not otherworldly. It's just more magical things. Obviously, we're dealing with gods in this movie, but it's just a believable world. It's like everything that they show you is like, that's separate. That's secret. You don't know about this because it's hidden from you, but it exists. And so when it interacts with our world, everyone's like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. This woman when she walks into no man's land.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that scene was so badass. I was just like,
it's the first time you actually see her in costume too. And like,
oh yeah, she reveals herself. Yeah, in her Wonder Woman.
She puts on the little the headband,
tiara,
and she's pulls her hair down. She's walking up the stairs slowly.
She's like, that's what I do. That's why I'm here.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna do that.
Dude, and it's that scene I think is gonna go down as a very iconic scene because it's the music. By the way, the score on this was incredible. Okay, it played to every scene very, very well. It complemented every scene. It was cool
because it didn't pull me out of the movie. It didn't distract me. Like, oh, the music sounds weird here. It added that extra layer to it.
And when we're talking about No Man's Land in the battlefield, she's going like you could tell she's ramping up to what she's gonna do. She's like,
well, I think that's when she's finally realizing starting to realize her potential.
2 bullets, blocking, and then dude, I have a new appreciation for the character Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan ever since, I've always liked characters like Xena the Warrior Princess, going back to, my teenage years. Wonder Woman is another... I just tend to like Amazons.
Me too.
They're just, they're pretty badass, they're strong, they're very muscular, and they know how to fight, and they're just... They're like a sexier... They're a sexier version of, if I ever wanted to fuck my superhero, I'd want it to be an Amazon. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. And the thing is... and it's so funny because there was this one scene that in the bar where she just destroyed a guy. Grabs his arm and throws him across the room and just, nails him. And then the side character... I forget his name, but he looks like a Mexican guy or whatever. Whatever his name is. Anyway. But he said some of the funniest lines too. He's like, is it weird that I'm both scared or frightened and aroused at the same time? And I just thought, man,
well, yeah, I mean, think about it. If you see that, you're like, okay, I'm gonna stay right here.
Dude, if I saw a girl throw
just throw
30 feet away, dude, I'm gonna be like, you wanna get out of a beer, bro? You want to grab a beer on Netflix?
No, yeah. You know what? I'm not talking about a story, but no.
Damn.
She's you know what? I think they do a good job at showing the strength of a woman. Sure. And at the same time, her beauty.
Oh, yeah.
Because all the women on the island, not that they have to be, but they were all beautiful women. I mean, I thought it was amazing that they did that because they showcased their strength and their amazing athletic abilities, but at the same time, show their beauty.
Even the ones there was an Amazon that were kind of on the bigger muscular side.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Even they were gorgeous.
Yeah.
There was just something about them that
the
was
one on the table. She's like last man standing, throwing them all off.
Yeah. Dude, okay, so there was this, and it brings me back to a point where, following what Leo just said right now, I like it when. Take note, guys, okay? Whether it's a superhero movie or just a standard movie, if you're making a standard movie, you don't need to put down a man to make a woman strong. And this movie did it well, okay? Chris Pine complimented her, and they complimented each other.
Yeah.
And Chris Pine knew his damn place. He knew, this girl is the star here. She's the one that's the killer that's going to save the world.
He played off of her.
Oh, yeah.
And very well. You know what? It almost, and it's not that it felt like he was being Captain, oh my God, from Star Trek.
Captain Kirk?
Captain Kirk. It's not like he was being Captain Kirk, but he had that swagger. That believable, he's good at what he does.
Yes.
Very good at what he does.
And he knows what he cannot do.
Right. He knows his limits.
Right?
Yeah. You know what? That was very good of this character. He knew his limits. And he stuck to that. For example, when they're talking about how he wants to actually take on some troops and stop the factories, right? He wants to destroy the factories. They're like, nope, you're not going to do anything. And then he starts trying to give some sort of a butt. And then he stops and he's like, okay, all right, I'm done here. Obviously, he knows his limits, right? He won't be able to convince him, and he tries to convince Diana that they can't convince him and they can't do anything about it.
It's such a good fucking movie. best scene for me, honestly, is I've always liked it. Like, for instance, when Wolverine gets mad, I like the berserker rage, the kind of the fucking goes all out kind of thing. We had a moment like that in here with Wonder Woman when she sees Chris Pine blow up in that damn airplane at the end, and she pretty much they pretty much both saved the day.
They did.
Okay.
I mean, he said, "I'm going to save the day, but you save the future. Like you save the world.
Yeah. I saved the day. You saved the world. Yeah. And when she saw Chris Pine blow up, and she just let out this anger. Dude, I bought it. Oh, yeah. Hook, line, and sinker. I felt like
when she took out that squad, the whole platoon.
Oh yeah, dude. Like, like. It was very impressive because she was going super fast and
her speed increased. Motion. Yeah.
At it was
that was that cool scene. Yeah, where it would like cut from slow mo to like full.
But she was going
like that. But yeah, it was great.
It's like the guys that she was beating was going all super slow motion, but she was going kind of, dude. She went full berserker style. Okay, before she started turning her attention back to Ares, and dude, that scene alone made everything, the whole them getting to know each other. I bought it right then and there.
It was a big payoff.
Yeah, big payoff.
Because it definitely, she learned a lot from him.
Oh yeah, and vice versa.
Learned a lot. Well, yeah, I think so too. Because his courage came out because of her. Because he was actually sort of, I know my place, but he stepped over his limits because of her.
And the thing is Diana is, at least the beginning version of her, was very black and white. There were no shades of gray in between. She got to know the shades of gray the more she knew man and women.
Yeah.
Just
mankind.
The world. Yeah, just mankind. She knew that it's not that simple of this and that. It's bad and good. It's just, there are shades of it. And Gal Gadot, I remember John Campea, that bitch, when she first got announced as Wonder Woman, dude. This was years ago. Okay, I saw John Campea fucking lose his goddamn
like he always
mind.
Does. Like he always does.
Face is red. Oh, I can't believe it. It's just like he was teeing off. He was like, I can't believe the most iconic role is given to a non-actress. Her acting sucked. And it was like, dude, he was going off. Okay, and there is no better Wonder Woman as of right now.
I felt like she was meant for that role.
Yes.
You know why? And here's another cool thing, okay? I had the question at first as to why. I don't mind her accent, first of all.
I love her accent.
I love her accent too. But at the same time, I thought, okay, that's sort of different. I didn't expect for Wonder Woman to have an accent, but it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And the actresses that played the mother, the maternal or the matriarchal roles for her, right? Her mom, Hippolyta, and
her sister, her aunt.
Antiope, yeah, Robin Wright and Connie Nielsen.
Robin Wright, brilliant.
See, that's the thing though. Their accents and the way they actually portrayed themselves and the way they interacted with each other, I bought
everything.
I bought why Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman. It's and not that I had to be sold, but it definitely fit. It all fits, and it's perfect.
And you know what? Gal Gadot's acting ability, after watching this, should not be underestimated, okay? I would not... if I was a director of a horror movie or something, I wouldn't have any hesitation bringing in Gal Gadot. Yeah. Just to see what she can bring to that genre. Yeah. Now, at the end, Chris Pine's picture is up on the bulletin board. And she's not... Here's one of my biggest fears going into this movie. I thought this was going to be... I was hoping it was not going to be a women strong, men weak kind of thing. Like like belittling any sex, regardless of which it is. I mean, which you are. Whatever you are is what I'm trying to say. But at the end, when she touches Chris Pine's picture and she's rubbing his face and you see tears in her eyes, dude, I was just like, this is how a damn connection between
humans
should be.
Yeah. mourning the loss of someone you love.
Yeah. And or just really just care about.
Sure.
In the short amount of time,
Oh yeah.
They sold me on their differences,
Which they had a lot of.
Tons,
which is great because
Tons.
they don't have to be alike. I mean, that's why I think it was cool because he met someone who had no sort of inhibitions or sort of boundaries as to why things can or can't be done. And she also learned that there are sort of places where you can't go.
Yeah, you can't intervene as well. Not intervene. That's not the right word. I'm trying to say. But there are Chris Pine taught her. There are limits, I guess.
Well, and not just that, but when there is no sort of like, gosh, I don't want to get theoretic, but the fact that she says, "I believe in love."
Oh yeah.
And she's like, "This is why I'm not joining you," because even though as gods we see that there is a problem with this race, I also see why Steve Trevor wanted to save them, why he sacrificed himself for these people, because he believes that there is some good in people, and obviously not all people are good, but that's why we need to fight.
And it was such a good touch because even years later, she still has the watch that he gave her.
Yeah.
And she's holding it up to her cheek, and I just thought, that is a sweet moment. Yeah, to have only a limited amount of time, but you still deeply care about that individual. Remember him. Now you have the original picture of your first war together.
Right.
It was pretty... dude, I got a little watery-eyed when she touched the damn picture or where she put the watch to her. I don't know what it is. I'm used to seeing that kind of stuff opposite. Like a man, cares deeply about his girl that passed away or whatnot. I don't know, but it was very refreshing to see the opposite. And I don't see many movies that handle...
I'm trying to think of movies that maybe have done
that handle that role, not a gender reversal, but in some ways it kind of was. But it followed the same kind of formula.
Okay, I'm going to throw an example out there, but it's not anything near this, but in Fast and Furious 7, when 6 actually, when she sacrifices herself for Han.
Oh, yeah.
Similar, right?
Very similar.
And he mourned her and he went through the loss of her. It was the opposite this time. Steve Trevor sacrificed himself, and it's cool because the scene where she gets sort of like shell shocked by the explosions around her because she can't hear. Well, we can't hear, right? But Steve's talking to her and he's saying these things, and it's very muffled, but it's very muffled, so you can't hear what he's saying. But it sort of flashes back to that, and it reveals the conversation. And the fact that he's like, when he says "I love you" at the end, oh
man, I mean, dude,
because
I gotta see this movie again, dude. I gotta see it.
And I like his character because he was like, I'm a man that's gonna do what he has to do, right? And nothing's gonna hold me back. Because the thing is that he could have not done any of those things and just be like, oh well, fuck it, let's just go and let me see if we can be together, right? Because obviously he felt a lot of things for this woman.
It was a very selfless.
Yeah, because he could have been selfish. I mean, there was that moment where I thought, okay, they're all gonna die because they're gonna detonate the gas around them.
Oh yeah, I thought that too.
But it was more like, no, I'm gonna take the plane, and I'm gonna bust a Captain America, right, and destroy it.
Oh yeah, exactly right. Captain America,
So played by another Chris, but so I like that because the character ended. Right? His life was cut, but you know what? And it motivated her. It fueled her.
Oh yeah, the way it ended with Chris Pine. Okay, he's flying the plane. Okay, he has gas bombs, mustard gas or some shit in the back, right? And he takes out his gun. He turns around, and I thought the camera work here and the score combined was so good. Slowly moving in on his face, him taking deep breaths, accepting, knowing that I am about to die here.
But at the same time smiling because he's
and I accept it.
Yeah.
I am a hero. It was superb the way that was handled.
That scene paid off.
Any negatives There's
Sure.
one for me, really, just one, and it wasn't too much of a negative. But I'll let you go first.
I feel like I don't want to call it like third act and fourth act, but the final fight with Ares, that whole part, I don't know what it is. I want to see it again to see why I feel this way, but I sort of felt a little weird about it. I flashed back a little bit to the fight with Doomsday.
Okay.
So, and I like the Doomsday fight, but it was like it felt too CG at some points, and so it was like
the Ares fight.
No, the Doomsday fight. So when I was watching the Ares fight, certain aspects of the CG sort of came out, and then I would think back to the Doomsday fight. So it was like I felt a little weird. But other than that,
see that.
Other than that, and then I guess when Wonder Woman's saying her final words to Ares before she defeats him, right?
Oh yeah.
Where she's talking about love and she chooses to believe in love, and that's her motivation for why she's going to do what she's going to do. It felt a little sort of, I don't know if tongue in cheek is the right words, but it felt a little
cheese.
A little cheese, just a little. Cheese ballish, okay? So that was the only thing. I sort of felt like, oh, this is sort of cheesy. But at the same time, I was like, but you know what? I like this about this character.
Sure.
This is why Wonder Woman is Wonder Woman. And not just a warrior, right? Not just some fucking, I'm going to kill people, but more of like, I'm going to protect.
Yeah.
Because she definitely ended up taking that protective role, even though she killed those Nazis. But hey, they were Nazis, right? So it's okay. And she, not that this matters, but it does matter because the actress happens to be Jewish, right? So it's doubly important to her because it's like I'm defeating those that oppress my people. I'm not trying to get deep here, but you know, it just felt like that character gave some sort of like a fuck you for a moment, but at the same time was like, but here's the real threat and I'm going to protect, you know?
Did not actually come in the first. It came in the first act.
Okay.
My issue, and that was when it happened on the beach, on the Battle of the Beach, when Robin Wright died, and they had. Yeah, she took a bullet for Diana, and that dialogue between Diana and Robin Wright was the thing that was like not believable. I didn't buy it. I didn't buy the the sorrow, their connection. It seemed too. I hate to say fake, but it seemed not believable.
I didn't have a problem with it. I liked it because, I mean, she was training her in secret. She took a bullet for her with the mom, and then eventually took a physical bullet for her.
No, I believed their connection with each other. I didn't buy the performance.
Okay,
that's what I didn't
have a problem with it.
And the second minor thing that I caught right away, but I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna ignore that for right now, is when Robin Wright is training Diana in front of her mom, and you know she's having this battle. Yes, when she's older, and I could tell when those two were going at it, there was a double there. Okay, Diana had a stunt woman, and you could tell in a couple shots that's like, that is not her.
I didn't really see that.
I saw it right away. That's what I was looking for, to be honest with you.
You know what? But I figured there was going to be moments where there would be obviously a stunt person doing a physical, act of action. So
a physical act of action.
So I didn't mind that, and actually, it pulled you out, but didn't pull me at all.
It was one of those things where I just caught, but it didn't bother me. It's just one of those secondary things that I'm just going to throw in.
I see. I notice the fourth wall has been broken for me.
So rating time. Oh man,
I'm gonna let you go first because I really don't know. I'm having a tough time.
Okay, so what I liked about, we're gonna go over what we liked, what we didn't like, and well, you just heard what we didn't like, and our final rating. What I did like, choreography was insane. The best part. Okay. The character drawed you in. Diana, Wonder Woman, the character drawed you in. It got you invested in her character. The movie did a brilliant job there. The visual effects were above average. They weren't like, oh my god, spectacular, but they were very, very good. Okay? And I want to say that the story was a strong point in this movie. Okay? Unlike any other DC movie, I can't say that about any other DC movie. But when it comes to this movie, the story was a strong point. And so for that reason alone, and the last thing is the score. From beginning to end, the score was it complemented what I was seeing, the scenes. So the score is definitely, I'm probably going to buy the soundtrack, dude. I was that impressed with the score. With all that said, walking out of the theater, the only thing that was going through my mind is, this is a fucking A+. Okay? A+. But, now talking about it a little further, seeing your kind of, gripes about it, I'm going to give it a little room to breathe, and I'm going to say a solid A. Solid A.
Okay. I love the story, man. And it's cool because I almost want to say it felt like a chick flick. And I'll tell you why, okay? Because I saw the romance side from the woman's perspective. Okay? It was very romantic. Okay?
Sure. Yeah, there were some romantic elements to it.
I almost was like, I gotta take notes. All right? I like his approach. No, I'm serious. So it was like, because I definitely love chick flicks. Okay, that's one of my favorite genres. So
rom-coms, huh?
Yeah, I love rom-coms, dude. I mean, the breakup. Okay, but anyway, so I saw that and I sort of like, I like that because I like this action in this movie. It has a lot of action. I wouldn't necessarily call it an action movie. Okay.
Yeah, me neither. Surprisingly enough,
it's more of like I don't know. It's dramatic action,
It's an action adventure.
Sure, it's action adventure, and it has an amazing story, And the fact that it was told through a flashback and like sort of like a recounting of how she came to be who she is, and the first introduction to mankind and all that, and just visually, it's a beautiful movie.
It is.
It's a beautiful movie visually. So, it's an A for me.
Oh man,
I wouldn't be surprised if it eventually changes to an A+, because I feel like as I get more comfortable with the movie and visually and everything, I'm gonna not care about the ending of it, the third act, the fight with Ares and all those special effects and all that, and the last lines delivered to him. But other than that, man, I think it's almost a flawless movie.
You know why the lines didn't really bother me that much? Is because her character naturally was naive. She's, very kind of, I don't know. It's like she's never talked to a bad guy before.
Sure. Okay.
You know what I mean? And that's why I don't think it bothered me as much.
Because everyone she was meeting who was in power, she approached that way. Like, oh, well, I'm going to do this. And there's no boundaries. So I don't have to go through any other means to accomplish what I need to. Like, that's when she goes into the middle of the two fronts, right? And she goes towards the Nazis. That's when she did that. God, there's so many scenes, but the action-wise, I mean, it almost reminds me of Hacksaw Ridge. When that whole scene when he's rescuing the guys, it felt very much like that. You could see the trenches and everything, and I feel like they did a really good job of showing you periodically where it takes place. So there was so much to love about this movie,
and there's so much we haven't mentioned yet.
A lot.
There's tons of shit here.
Something I really liked, and going into this movie, it was sort of something that I was actually personally excited to see told, but the perspective of a woman's life, right? Because, normally we see a man who's like, oh, this is his rise to power, right?
Sure.
And I'm living that. I'm trying to figure out my own way.
You're rising to power or something?
What?
You're rising to power?
No, but like my story and a line that's delivered in the movie is like, everyone's fighting their own battles.
Sure.
Right? And it's as important as yours, right? So it's almost like you're not alone. Everyone's fighting their own wars and their own things that they're trying to overcome, their own limits and stuff. And so I love the fact that they touched the fact that she was a very strong and independent woman, but at the same time, she fell in love. And she allowed the interaction with this human being, in this case a man, to sort of shape her a little bit.
The connection was very organic.
Oh, super organic.
It
and you know what?
Didn't feel forced at all.
It also shaped him, which was great because essentially my knowledge of like a good couple is you both change each other a little bit for the better, right? Not necessarily because you want to change each other, but because that's just sort of what's called from you. And so I like that about that character.
You're going to be the next Dr. Phil love line.
No, I look, I'm a big fan of rom-coms. I'm telling you, I love the love story aspect of it, and it wasn't cheesy. They didn't fuck it up. They didn't make it feel like it's forced. It was like, oh, these two people don't necessarily want to like each other, but as they're seeing each other and their strengths and their weaknesses, they're sort of appreciating that about each other.
Now, here's the thing,
or they are appreciating that.
Before this video ends, I just want to say, good job, Patty Jenkins.
Oh my God, amazing!
Great fucking job. Now, if it were up to me, dude, okay, The Flash has been through directors over and over and over again.
Right. Zemeckis is one of the latest ones.
Give it a Patty Jenkins. If there's a director that can make relationships form organically and not be forced upon.
Sure.
That's why I'm thinking Patty Jenkins, The Flash, the relationship with him and his father, the death of his mom. Right. You know they're going to introduce all that origin shit, right?
Yeah.
Give it to Patty Jenkins. She has I
wouldn't be against that.
She has like my seal of approval.
I'm against it. Stop it.
She has like seal of approval.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I really did like how these lives interacted and how they showed the importance and the value of everyone. And it was so real.
Even Chris Pine and his buddies.
Oh yeah, his
Irish
comrades,
guy,
yeah.
The Indian guy.
Charlie, Chief, and Sharif.
They were all fuck me. Yeah. I mean, it was so good. Guys, watch this fucking movie.
Yeah, please support it. It's great.
I'm gonna watch it. I think I'm gonna watch it for sure another 2 more times. For sure, I'm gonna be a repeat customer.
I have to. Yeah,
I have to watch it. There's gonna be and I guarantee you, the second, third time I'm watching it, I'm gonna be like, I did not catch that. I did not catch this little thing that they dropped.
There were things, and I think Man of Steel was probably my favorite movie of the DC cinematic universe so far.
Now it's number 2 for me.
Now it is number 2 because you know what? There were little things that I didn't like about Man of Steel that it was definitely like, okay, I'll have to get used to that. But for this movie, it was just like, I accept it as it is. There is no sort of... I didn't walk out of it feeling like, I want to complain about this. Because, you know what? When I saw Batman v Superman, I instantly was like, oh my God, I have complaints about this movie.
Yeah, me too, surprisingly.
And even though I liked it, it was just like, oh man, these little things let me down, I feel. And I felt a little disappointed. There was really no disappointment in Wonder Woman at all. I can't say I have any sort of disappointments with this movie. And I think like you said, I'm looking forward to Justice League now.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to listen to any sort of outside voices about the movie and opinions because, honestly, I think if there would have been any negative opinions about Wonder Woman, I would have felt a little negative about it. But at the same time, I don't think it's warranted with this movie.
You know what I also started doing, dude, is limiting the amount of trailers I watch for the goddamn movie.
I'm glad I didn't really see any of them. 1
or 2, and then I'm good. I don't want to read anything. I don't want to see anything or still images of the set or whatnot.
I didn't. Yeah,
fuck all that.
Yeah, I wanted to just go in with a fresh perspective on this movie, and I love it.
It's definitely a Blu-ray buy.
Oh yeah,
4K.
I can't wait for this one to come out.
Anyways, guys, if you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe, and we will be back for reviewing all the other Spider-Man movies leading up to Homecoming. We have a shit ton of good movies coming out this year. Shit ton. And we will review all of them. No, maybe. But anyways, like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time, guys. Later. Yeah.